I'm sick and tired of people voting Republican and making this country the laughingstock of the world. America needs to stop putting Republicans in any position in the government. They need to be out of our government altogether, because every time the Republicans make us the laughingstock of the world, they pity Americans. We are a third world country that thinks we're the greatest country in the world. We are great when Democrats are in office, and then we're trash. I mean, our country is literally trailer trash. Time to get the trash out.
Nearly 75% of the poor living in rural America come from Southern Republican states. Both poverty and our dependence on the social safety net is higher in rural America than it is in our cities and suburbs. And here's another cold hard fact. Beginning with the New Deal, continuing through to the Great Society, and ending just recently with the president's infrastructure bill, the Democrats in both rural and urban America have fought to provide a social safety net that's much needed in rural America while offering targeted incentives to help rural America grow. And our question is, when are conservatives in rural America going to join us in the fight?
80% of the tax credits that make Obamacare cheaper, 80% of those tax credits go to people in red states. 57% of people who use the ACA marketplace to get healthcare, they are in Republican congressionally controlled districts. The Democrats are fighting to continue those tax credits so that your healthcare is cheaper, when the truth is, the people that benefit from those tax credits the most are not even their constituents. They voted for Trump and they voted for Republicans. There are 39 congressional districts where, had it not been for these tax credits that passed under the Biden administration and that Democrats are trying to renew again right now, those people would have been paying double for their health care. And guess who those people voted for? Trump. Most of those districts are in Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So again, the tax credits that the Democrats are fighting to extend right now were originally passed 4 years ago under the Biden administration, and most people that have been benefiting from those voted for Trump. Like, Biden and the Democrats cut the cost of your healthcare in half, people, and they still voted for Trump. And now the Republicans are going to get rid of your healthcare subsidies, and you're going to be paying on average 115% more.
Well, in another serious case of fuck around and find out, a Northern California farming community who typically votes in the red category, who went to bat at the polls for Donald Trump, are really kicking themselves, because with the passage of the big beautiful bill, it removed the critical access designation from Medicare and Medicaid, which is basically the distance that somebody would have to travel to get to the nearest hospital. And now that distance regulation is no longer there, Medicaid and Medicare are now pulling their funding from all of these hospitals that don't fall within the distance regulations. So Glenn Medical Center is going to have to close, meaning that the closest hospital for the people in this farming community is 30 miles away.
It's funny that rural America don't vote for policies meant to help them. Instead, they vote for punishment of other people based on fear, anger, and hatred for another group, and then be surprised when those same policies they supported come back and have their own community. So let's get to see more. Please like and hype the video, and let me know that's the comments, all right?
I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of the top 10 most hardcore DJT states. And this is the list that it gave me: Wyoming, West Virginia, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Idaho, Arkansas, Alabama, Kentucky, South Dakota, and Tennessee. And I specifically asked for this list because I just want to make sure that I can sleep at night knowing we're all on the exact same page. Until I know that you know how severely impacted these top 10 states are going to be with the policies that are in this big, beautiful bill. This big, beautiful bill is about to blow up rural America. I know I'm speaking to you right now when I say that you know somebody who is on social services of some sort, whether that's a single mom, whether that's an elderly person, whether that's somebody with a disability, or that's somebody who has a diabetic foot ulcer. I know the patient populations in rural communities. I have spent my entire medical career learning from rural physicians in a rural place, okay? And what is happening in the fine print, in the language y'all don't usually speak, because who does? Are things that are going to destroy the livelihoods of so many hundreds of thousands of people in your communities, wreck your economies, rip away resources, rip away opportunities, and leave you in the dust. Even if you're somebody who lives in one of these places that is able to afford life and your family and you don't rely on any government services at all, I want you to consider what would happen if you couldn't utilize those services for your mom, your dad. I want you to imagine what would happen if all of a sudden your child had a crazy accident and you needed a ridiculous amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of durable medical equipment. 29% of the population in West Virginia is on Medicaid. Wyoming, 43,000 people. You got to consider the population of the state as a whole too, okay? So these are large percentages of the populations. Oklahoma, how many people in Oklahoma? Hold on. 25% of the population is enrolled in Medicaid. Medicaid, that's not the senior citizens. Those aren't even the elderly people. Those are the young people, the kids, the young adults, the moms. In Oklahoma, the average income per capita is $58,500. The median household income is $59,700. In this bill, it states that anybody making under, I think it's $50,000, will be seeing an increase in taxes. I'm sure anybody making less than $50,000, no matter what state you live in right now, is having a really hard time. Are you not? So now the plan is not only to increase the taxes that you're paying on the minimal income that you do make, but also remove your access to government services like Medicaid. Why? Because you're an able-bodied young person. You should be able to handle it. Sorry. Oh, we don't believe in college here. It brainwashes you. So we're capping our population's ability to continue to climb those ladders of socioeconomic status by being able to obtain high-paying jobs that provide you with insurance benefits. Those things aren't available if you're working trade jobs. And there's nothing wrong with working trade jobs. That's why we're fine paying y'all's Medicaid. But when you take that away, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Do you know how much it costs to buy diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and pain medicine without Medicaid? It's not just the people of color that are benefiting from these services, and that's what you're not understanding. If you take the population at large, yes, there are a high percentage of people in places like California that are relying on these services, and maybe you don't think that you owe that to them. But if you don't think you owe it to your own community, then you need to look in the mirror. The comments are open to respectful people, but I am a big fan of the block button. All to benefit the person who built his entire campaign by exploiting the very things that y'all care about the most based on your religious beliefs and your morals and your values, being hardworking, pull up your bootstraps, go on, get them, wipe your tears away people. He did that on purpose, and it is so sick. It's so sick.
Trump is a cult leader, and it should be absolutely no surprise that he appeals to the more ignorant and hateful part of our country, because people who lack critical thinking skills and who are hateful of other people are so much more easy to control. Because guess what? It is so much easier to think that the problems in our country lay within the immigrant population, lay within any of the minorities, lay within anything outside of the government itself. But he has done such a good job convincing more than half of this country, it seems, that the problem lies everywhere outside of us. That there's nothing that we're doing as a country that's incorrect and is causing the immense pain that most people are going through. But instead, he's convinced the ignorant and the hateful that, yeah, no, the immigrants are the problem. The immigrants are the reason that you can't have a good living wage. The immigrants are the reason why food prices are going up. The immigrants are why you can't get a good home for a good price. Like, how does any of this make sense? It doesn't make sense, right? And that's exactly why these people follow him. Blindly support him, blindly follow him. Like, anytime, and I have people who I know support Trump, and every time I speak to them about, oh, look at what he did, XYZ, it's like, oh, but he wants to get the immigrants out, but he wants to make our country a better place. Show me in the last 5 months how Trump has made this country a better place, because I can name a million of how he's made this country worse.
Thanks to the strong Republican leadership in the state of Tennessee, we are at risk of losing 12 rural hospitals in the next few years. We already lead the country in rural hospital closure. So the Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform reported that 36% of our rural hospitals are facing such financial struggles that they are at risk at closing. So federal researchers state the reason for this is an increase of insurance denials and the end of pandemic-era financial aid. Rural areas in our state have a higher percentage of Tennesseans using Medicare and Medicaid. Reminder, Tennessee Republicans chose not to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, leaving so many in our state without insurance. I will say, to Governor Bill Haslam's credit, he did propose the Insure Tennessee Act, which would offer a market-based alternative for low-income adults, similar to the healthcare marketplace for the Affordable Care Act. And that was, I think, pushed down like 7-4. So right now, our state does offer TennCare, but it is very, very limited to children, pregnant people, seniors, and those with disabilities. So let's look at the facts. Rural hospital closures don't just mean people lose care. People will have to drive longer distances for care if they even seek care at all. These would be emergency rooms closing, emergency departments, and then also look at the jobs that a hospital brings to a community. It's not just nurses and doctors, cleaning staff, maintenance, people who work in the cafeteria, everything around there. There's a lot of economic impact that is brought to a community because of a hospital, and they would lose that. To make matters worse, while rural hospitals in our state are closing, I want to remind you that Nashville remains a major hub for the healthcare industry in this country. So HCA, Community Health Systems, or CHS, and LifePoint Health are all based in Middle Tennessee, and they're responsible for bringing in tens of billions of dollars to our state, as well as thousands of jobs to Middle Tennessee. We also have amazing medical centers, including Vanderbilt, academic medical centers like Vanderbilt University of Tennessee at Knoxville. So how do we do better for Tennesseans? What needs to change in our state? How do we not only minimize the number of hospitals closing, how do we get people access to care in our state? How do we afford that? What needs to change in our state for people to have access to care in a reasonable distance from where they live?
This is 75,000 people. Does it look like a lot? Now think about the fact that over 80,000 Michiganders lost Medicaid due to the actions of MAGA Republicans. More than it takes to fill the entire Spartan football stadium. And at the same time, they're working to ensure that 1.4 million Michiganders can't get the food stamps that they rely on. Yet at the same time, they have no problem spending billions on a war in Iran. No hesitation, no debate. The money was there for the war in Iran. But ask MAGA Republicans to make sure that Michigan families can eat and get health care? Suddenly, budget cuts are needed. They choose the war over us. Remember that when you go to vote in November.
Why are so many poor folks MAGA? Since we were born, we've been sold this American dream idea. If you just work hard enough, you can get anything you want. Get your house, your white picket fence, be successful, be rich, like an Elon Musk or Trump. But then these folks wake up in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and realize they failed. I worked hard, where's my American dream? They can't bear the thought that it might be their fault. I ain't got a mansion because them illegals keep coming over here and taking our jobs. I ain't got no land because they keep spending my tax dollars on them surgeries for them T people. We can't get ahead because they took all the Bibles out of classrooms. I'd be rich right now if it wasn't for them liberals. They have to blame somebody. And if you're a minority, you're it. It's an existential crisis of self-preservation.
I think one of the reasons why so many rural people voted MAGA is if you come to a small town, which my family is largely from, you see it's generations of people who haven't done anything with themselves other than be exactly where they are. So they come for entire people, groups of people, ethnicities of people who have done everything they can to be somewhere else. I would probably be a little bitter and jealous too. And I taught my son this weekend, look around you. You'll be able to pick it out. And if they're going to be so good at picking people out and isolating others, you can turn the energy around. And it's crazy that so many people who would be so against so many things, who would probably benefit from some kind of dental care at least, would be so blind and ignorant to whether or not they would be able to get it or other people could as well.
Rural America is learning a painful lesson that when you support policies to punish others, you only end up punishing yourself. For instance, farmers supported mass deportation. Now they don't have workers to work their fields, People cheered the big beautiful bill, but now their own hospitals are struggling and some shutting down due to Medicaid cuts. Families are turning to food banks after the SNAP cuts. But the funny thing is that these people, they keep electing the same politicians responsible for their own demise. For years, Their politicians tell them that immigrants, minorities, Democrats, refugees, and welfare recipients are the problem. And yet many people, they accept that message. But look at what happens when you remove workers who work the farms. The work don't just disappear, you see, just because immigrants are gone. When Medicaid funding is reduced, it is your local community that suffers, you see. Families now has to travel for long hours for medical care. Healthcare workers, they lose their jobs when the hospitals shut down. And the plain truth is that these politicians, they want you to be angry, distracted, and they want you to keep blaming someone else. Because if you're busy blaming immigrants, you may not ask why your wages are stagnant. When you're busy blaming the poor, you may not ask why your own hospital is shutting down. When you're busy blaming minorities, you may not ask why your community has fewer opportunities, you see. And these are some of the questions that you should be asking them, because the politicians are supposed to work for the people. They are not kings and they are not celebrities who deserve unconditional loyalty. A politician should have to earn your vote every time. Do not listen to what the politicians say. Look at what they deliver, because the politicians, they are good at making promises. You see, they tell you what you want to hear during the campaign, but after the election, they only focus on their own interest. Don't owe a politician your loyalty, or your future your loyalty, or your family your loyalty, or your community your loyalty. So, if a politician fails to deliver, replace them, because that is what elections are for. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.